Hello everyone, Just Podcast TV is here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified on new contents.
Episode 21. Amadeus finally makes his debut. Next, you. This time, the one who was called out was the last of the three heroes, Titus Julius. 768 meters? Do I really have a chance to surpass Nero Felix? Titus worried his lip, and a trace of hesitation appeared in his heart. 768 meters. The pressure was like a 1,000-foot-tall mountain pressing down on him, making it hard for him to breathe. Suddenly, a trace of determination flashed across his eyes. Even if I can't win first place, I can't lose to Tiberius Gabinus. Begin. Titus jumped into the Bronze Warrior's lane. The three heroes each had their own specialties. Nero was an expert in strength, and he had the demon-subduing fist, with which he rarely met his match. Tiberius controlled the power of ice and could freeze anything. Titus was a light-footed sprinter, and he was so fast that even the disciples of the Order could not match him. Titus's attack was like a hydra swimming in the water, and he was extremely agile. The bronze men simply couldn't keep up with him. In less than half of a minute, he has already charged into the last 80 meters of the Bronze Warrior's lane. In an instant, Titus's speed slowed down. There was limited space in Bronze Warrior's lane, which prevented his movement technique from reaching its peak. In addition, the speed of the bronze men in a forbidden zone was much faster than that of the previous bronze men. As a result, Titus was somewhat suppressed. Of course, even so, he was still faster than Tiberius and Nero. 735 meters later, almost all of Titus's space was occupied by the bronze men, making it impossible for him to sprint past them anymore. He had no choice but to rely on his own strength to resist the bronze men's attack. Titus was only really good at using his speed and agility. When fists and hammers collided, he was quickly defeated. His final result was 748 meters, which was only 2 meters more than Tiberius had attained. In the end, he spat out blood and fell to the ground. Damn it! How could this be? Outside Bronze Warrior's lane, Tiberius' cold face showed a trace of unwillingness. He was convinced that Nero had gone far ahead after him. After all, Nero had borrowed the power of the secret technique and had not used his true ability. But what right did Julius Titus have to walk in front of him? Next, you. As soon as Master Delphi finished speaking, Julia slowly walked toward the Bronze Warrior's lane. She wore a long blue stola that outlined her curvaceous and graceful figure. She really was an alluring demoness, Amadeus thought. Begin, Master Delphi cried. The walls on both sides exploded as bronze men swarmed out like a tidal wave toward Julia. She gently turned around like flowing water and flowing clouds, like a naiad dancing. It caused onlookers to fantasize endlessly. The bronze men were like a tide, and there were many of them, Unfortunately, not a single one of them could touch her long dress. In just a few breaths' time, she had already crossed the 500-meter mark. What a mysterious movement technique. She might even get further than Titus. It's rumored that her talent is comparable to that of the three heroes. It seems this is true. What? How is this possible? All of a sudden, a cry of surprise came out of Titus's mouth. His handsome face turned red. He saw that Julia had entered the last forbidden zone in Bronze Warrior's Lane. What shocked Titus was that Julia had not even thrown a punch yet. She was completely relying on the movement technique in the breakthrough competition. This was unbelievable. Bronze Warrior's Lane was different from other places. Not only was the area limited, but there were also countless of bronze men. There were almost no blind spots. Even with their movement technique speed, they had no choice but to face Julia head-on after 735 meters. She had already passed 740 meters, and she had still not even thrown a single punch. This was a huge blow to Titus, who had always been proud of his movement technique. 750 meters. Is Julia Albus going to surpass Felix? Damn it. How could this be? At some point, Felix clenched his fists tightly. Beads of sweat soaked his forehead. He shouted in his heart, "Stop!" Julia seemed to have heard Nero's shout, and she finally fell to the ground. 763 meters pass. Nero let a long breath out when he heard her result. Julia was only 5 meters away from surpassing him and becoming the new leader. A trace of fear flashed across his eyes. If he hadn't used the spirit exploding art, with his current strength, he definitely wouldn't have been able to defeat Julia. Her strange and ethereal movement was terrifying to even think about it. However, Nero quickly regained his calm. As long as he got first place, he would be able to borrow the power of the marrow cleansing pill to help his bloodline advance. He would definitely surpass Julia. At that moment, the clear voice of Master Delphi pulled his thoughts back. "It's your turn," he called to the young warrior. The lanterns were lit. The Battle of Bronze Warrior's Lane had finally come to an end. In an instant, everyone's attention was focused on Amadeus, who was wearing a white tunic. "Yes, Master," he answered without any hesitation. Amadeus strode toward Bronze Warrior's Lane. His steps were steady, as if he were taking a leisurely stroll. It was as if he didn't care about the 800 meters of Bronze Warrior's Lane at all. The crowd, of course, had its opinions to share. His blessings of Mithria are not bad. I wonder how strong he is. 600 meters of Bronze Warrior's Lane should not be a problem. Maybe he can surpass Cato Selassie. Even if he is not as good as the three heroes, he should be able to make it to the point that Master Delphi did when he earned his title. And who knows, he might even be able to break it into the last Forbidden Zone. Warriors were speculating in all directions, guessing how far Amadeus could go. Amadeus, I'm counting on you. Do not let me down. Candida clenched his fists. His heart was in his throat. His rationality told him that it was impossible for Amadeus to surpass Felix. 10 spirit stones and the blue cloud sword. The price was too great. He truly couldn't afford to lose. Candida, the outcome of the battle is about to be revealed. When the time comes, don't feel any heartache. A trace of a smile appeared on Barbo's face. Candida looked at Barbo's snide appearance and gritted his teeth with hatred. In an instant, Amadeus stepped into Bronze Warrior's lane. The next moment, the walls on both sides exploded with a loud bang. And numerous, nearly 3-meter tall, bronze men, carrying huge bronze hammers, rushed toward Amadeus. Break for me. An incomparably violent force surged out. Under the punch, the air within a few feet radius was instantly shattered. Numerous bronze men were swept across the ground with great force. It was as if Mars had descended from the heavens, sweeping away everything in his path. What speed! Many warriors outside of the battlefield gulped when they saw Amadeus sweeping away everything like a whirlwind. In less than 10 breaths, he had crossed 500 meters. He was just as quick as the 3 heroes. Only Julia can firmly surpass him. Why? Why is he so strong? The heavens are unfair. Looking at Amadeus, who had easily broken past the 500-meter mark, Pollux' eyes were full of envy and jealousy. He had thought that he would be able to surpass Amadeus one day, but in the end, it had taken everything that he had to cross the 500-meter mark. Amadeus, on the other hand, was approaching like challenge, like a walk in the garden. He had succeeded in the breakthrough competition so easily. How could there be such a huge gap between them? He's already at 600 meters, and he's not slowing down at all. How is this possible? Countless servant disciples opened their eyes wide. After 600 meters, the strength of each bronze man was no less than that of a 6th Empyrean gladiator. Even those quasi-8th grade bloodline holders found it difficult to take even a single step into this place. He has surpassed Catosalacia. It seems like he hasn't even exerted much pressure. I'm afraid we have underestimated him. His true strength might equal that of the 3 heroes. At this moment, the thoughts of many servant disciples began to waver. Could it be that Amadeus is also an 8th grade bloodline user? Behind the crowd, Aurelius's heart trembled. Disbelief flashed across his face. The bloodline of a gladiator. Although the Pulcher family was the reigning family in Ostia Antica, with the huge Roman Empire, it was just a third-rate family. Perhaps the Pulcher family had the ability to raise Amadeus's bloodline. But there there was no way that they would allow Amadeus to become a top genius of the 8th grade bloodline. Candida wasn't sure why was he considering all of these possibilities though. Soon, the doubt in his heart would be replaced by a big surprise. As long as Amadeus could defeat Nero, that would be great for him. Aurelius Candida turned to Paulinus Barbo and provoked him. Barbo, the show has just begun. Whoever laughs in the end will be the winner. Don't even think about it. Amadeus can't compare with Nero Felix, Barbo sneered. Although he knew he had misjudged the competition this time. But so what? Felix's 768-meter heaven-defying result would be enough to surpass everything. Tiberius and Titus weren't able to do it. Amadeus Pulcher wouldn't be able to either. Am I seeing things? He's actually speeding up? The master from the Serviceman's Peak, who had thick eyebrows and big eyes, started cursing. Amadeus had already broken through the 700-meter mark, and he was about to enter the final forbidden zone. At this moment, in their own heats, all 3 heroes and Julia Albus had slowed down and failed. Wrong. We were all wrong, someone called from the crowd. Master Delphi did not randomly choose. The 5 of them were completely ranked according to their strength. That kid is the strongest among the servant disciples. How is that possible? Nero is ranked first. Nero was able to take first place because he used the Spirit Exploding Art to forcefully increase his combat strength. But what if he hadn't had the Spirit Exploding Art? No Spirit Exploding Art. Many people were shocked when they had heard that. Tiberius had achieved 746 meters, and Titus 748 meters. Julia got to 763 meters. And if Nero hadn't used his Spirit Exploding Art at the end, could it be that Amadeus is the strongest among us? Nero was no longer calm. His nails dug deep into his palm. If Amadeus really was stronger than Julia, then he would be number 1. No. Impossible. I am the strongest. Episode 22. Breaking Through Bronze Warrior's Lane. Barbo. The competition had just begun. Candida waved his long sleeve and smiled at Paulinus Barbo, who was standing to his side. Seeing that Amadeus had entered the last 80 meters of Bronze Warrior's Lane without any obvious signs of slowing down, Candida's confidence had increased exponentially. He even began to fantasize about winning the Spirit Accumulation Pill from Barbo and successfully fixing his broken soul, breaking through the bottleneck in one go. Damn it! Did I really judge Amadeus wrongly? Barbo frowned. His face was full of gloom. Impossible. Felix's result was 768 meters. No matter how powerful Amadeus is, he cannot surpass Felix. The final victor must be me. Barbo felt relieved when he thought of Felix's final result. He could enter the ranks of the top 10 disciple servants in the next few years. It would not be an easy task to surpass him. Barbo smiled confidently and said, "Candida, this is more interesting, don't you think?" "Maybe," he smiled non-committally, and he didn't say any more. But his heart was hammering in his chest. 740 meters? He is about to surpass Tiberius. Could it be that he is really the number one servant disciple? Although he had already guessed that Amadeus might be the number one servant disciple this year, compared to the famous three heroes, he still found it hard to believe. Amadeus could be said to be a nameless man, except for being a servant disciple of Red Reed Peak. Almost no one had ever heard of him. Monster. He is a monster. At this moment, Pollux looked at Amadeus's back. Apart from shock, there was only respect. There was no longer any jealousy. This was the world. If a person was a little stronger than you might hate him. But if he was far stronger than you, the only thing left was for you to respect him. Damn it! Seeing that Amadeus was about to surpass him, the coldness on Tiberius's face became even more intense. It was like a block of ice that froze people, causing the servant disciples around him to take a few steps back. Geniuses had their own pride, let alone a top genius like one of the three heroes. Titus, Nero, and Julia could easily surpass him. But after all, they were top geniuses who had been on par with him for a long time. But what about Amadeus? He was a nobody. And yet he wanted to step on the scores and rise to the top? He was truly detestable. He has surpassed Tiberius. His speed actually hasn't changed much. This is truly terrifying. Outside Bronze Warrior's Lane, countless service disciples gasped. After 740 meters in the Bronze Warrior's Lane, every step Tiberius and Titus had taken was strenuous. But Amadeus's pace only slowed a little. Damn it! Tiberius gritted his teeth, and blue veins popped out on his forehead. His heart was filled with unwillingness. However, when he looked at Titus, who was not far away, for some reason, the bitterness in his heart faded by more than half. In the blink of an eye, Amadeus had successfully surpassed Titus and had started to sprint towards Julia. I never thought that besides the three heroes there would be such a powerful person. Julia bit her lips and looked deeply at Amadeus, as if she wanted to deeply imprint him in her mind. He is about to break through the 760-meter mark. He is the strongest person in the academy. At this moment, everyone had to believe that Amadeus was the strongest among them. Even Nero, who had used the spirit-exploding art, would not be a match for him. Barbo, it seems that Amadeus is the stronger one. At this moment, it was Candida's turn to be proud of himself. Although Amadeus' speed had dropped significantly, he was still faster than Tiberius and the others had been when they had been broken down to the last forbidden zone. And Amadeus was far from his limit. Barbo said stubbornly, "Candida, the victor has yet to be decided. It's too early for you to say all of this now." "You really are stubborn," Aurelius Candida smiled coldly. At this moment, anyone with discerning eyes could see that Amadeus was going to surpass Nero. It's 760 meters now. He has caught up to Julia. Damn it! Why? I am the strongest. Seeing that Amadeus had defeated Julia, who had almost surpassed him, Nero clenched his fists. His chest kept rising and falling, and he kept roaring in his heart. He has surpassed Nero's record. This is too scary. The three heroes were nothing compared to him, countless servant disciples exclaimed. When it came to gladiator training, overall combat prowess was the most respected skill. With Amadeus' talent and strength, it wouldn't be difficult for him to advance to becoming a disciple of the Nine Master in the future. Furthermore, he wasn't too bad looking. Although he couldn't be called a handsome man, but he could be still considered attractive. It wasn't an exaggeration to say, though, that as long as Amadeus gave a hint, countless girls would be willing to fall into his arms. Titus and Tiberius looked at each other, their eyes filled with bitterness and unwillingness. They were the strongest of the elite academy's younger generation. In the past, they had never been surpassed. The bitterness in their hearts could not be described in words. However, when they saw Nero, who seemed to have lost his soul, the bitterness in their hearts eased up a lot. Even Nero, who had used the spirit-exploding art, had been surpassed by Amadeus. It wasn't unacceptable to them that Nero had surpassed them. Barbo, I have to thank you for your generous offer this time. Candida's expression was full of joy. The surprise had suddenly come so that it made him feel like he had fallen into a dream. Aurelius Candida, this matter won't end just like that. Barbo's gloomy gaze swept across Amadeus, who was still in the breakthrough competition. Clearly, he also hated Amadeus. 10 spirit stones were not all of his savings, but they were half of his assets. There was also that spirit accumulation pill. It was a supreme grade elixir that he had spent a lot of effort to obtain. He's already at 770 meters, and he's still advancing. Could it be that he wants to completely break through the Bronze Warrior's lane? Halfway up the mountain of the peak bound, Master Delphi was wearing a white robe. He looked at the young man in Bronze Warrior's lane with admiration in his eyes. There was a faint trace of expectation as well. He is just a little bit away from it. I wonder if this young man will be able to break the destiny of the Elite Academy. Over the past 100 years, the Elite Academy had gradually declined, especially in the past 30 years. Not a single person had been able to break through the 800 meters in the Bronze Warriors lane. Not to mention that the strongest branch in Sicilia, which had produced a large number of geniuses, was still inferior to the training schools, who had always been at the bottom of the hierarchy. He is about to reach 780 meters in the Bronze Warriors lane. But he still hasn't reached his limit? This is too terrifying. Could he really break through the 800-meter mark? Impossible. He definitely can't. Barbo's chest heaved up and down violently, and he kept roaring in his heart. The servant disciple's performance was directly located to the master's evaluation. The better Amadeus performed, the more powerful he became. If he could break through the 800-meter mark in Bronze Warriors Lane in one go, then Red Reed Peak could even rise to the level 1 serviceman's peak, giving Aurelius Candida the right to stand on equal footing with him. This was not something he wanted to see. Paulinus Barbo's triangular eyes were like those of a poisonous snake. A trace of madness flashed across his face. Candida, do you dare to bet with me again? His voice was hoarse and carried the madness unique to gamblers. 10 spirit stones and a spirit accumulation pill were nearly half of the collection. He was really unwilling to lose to Candida just like that. Aurelius smiled and said, "You still want to bet? Barbo, aren't you afraid of losing to me again? If you're afraid of losing and don't have the courage to bet with me again, then pretend I didn't say anything." It was better to provoke him. Although goading was a bit cliché, it often had a miraculous effect. When combined with Barbo's contemptuous look, it was even too powerful. I'm afraid? I've lived for so many years, and I still don't know the meaning of this word. Aurelius Candida raised his eyebrows and sneered. Speak. How do you want to bet this time? Since everyone has a chance, saying that Amadeus could break through the half 60-year destiny and pass the 800-meter mark in Bronze Warriors Lane in one go, we will bet once more. Hearing this, Candida's eyes flashed with hesitation. While they were talking, Amadeus had already reached 780 meters. But at this moment, he was clearly going much slower. Although it was not difficult for him to keep moving forward, it was starting to wear him down. After 10 days of hard work, his training had improved by leaps and bounds. Adding the power of the upper-class spirit-invigorating pill, he was now close to the 6th layer me stage. As for the bloodline, He had even surpassed the 3 heroes and 1 immortal. And he was only a tiny bit away from breaking through to the mid-rank 8th bloodline. Combined with his mental state, which was far beyond his training base, it had been easy for him to break through in such a short period of time. He could break through the 12th, 15th, and even more layers of power. However, those bronze men weren't just for decoration, especially in the last 80 meters of the Forbidden Zone. The strength of each bronze statue was the same as that of a 7th layer gladiator. At this moment, Amadeus was approaching his limit. I don't know who said that. He has lived for so many years, but he doesn't know what fear is. Listening to Paulinus's strange tone, Candida felt his blood rush to his head. He blurted out, "What do you want to bet?" This is the Tranquil Heart Marble. If Amadeus can break through Bronze Warrior's Lane, it is yours. As Barbo spoke, a sparkling ancient marble appeared in his hand. Tranquil Heart Marble? Paulinus Barbo suddenly gulped, and his breath became unconsciously rapid. The Tranquil Heart Marble didn't have the slightest offensive or defensive power, but its value was higher than many top-grade spirit artifacts. It was a rare, supplementary treasure in the world. And not only could it gather the spirits of heaven and earth, it could also accelerate training and concentrate and calm one's mind. It could remove one inner's demon. Yes, Barbo had been able to break through to the 6th layer in a short few years. And this Tranquil Heart Marble had been a great help to him in the process. Barbo leveled a stare at Candida. "Now, what do you want to bet in exchange for the marble?"